This is a true story about Jacob and Mary. Jacob had come from Germany to America for his studies. After completing his education, he started a job and eventually settled down in the United States. Mary, on the other hand, was American by birth. They both fell in love and got married. They now have 2 children. The older one is 4 years old, while the younger is 2.5 years old. The couple had been living in California, but Jacob was running a furniture shifting business. His company would collect furniture from one house and deliver it to another, setting it up for the customers in their new homes. Business was booming and the company was expanding, with a new branch recently established in Houston, Texas. Seeing the growth of their businesses, Jacob and Mary decided it would be best to relocate from California to Texas to be closer to the company's main operations. They packed up their home in California and rented it out to someone else. In Texas, they found a new house to rent. Eager to start their new life, on their first day in Texas, Jacob went to the office, while Mary set out to find a school for their children. As she was leaving their new house, she noticed a woman in the neighborhood watering her plants. Mary thought to herself, "I will go over and introduce myself to her." In the evening, however, once she returned home, she had so much to do unpacking and organizing that she put off the idea of visiting the neighbor. That evening, Jacob returned home from work, and after dinner, he decided to go for a walk to explore the neighborhood. During his walk, he noticed a man and a dog playing together outside in the same neighborhood Mary had seen earlier. After his walk, Jacob returned home and went to bed. The next day, Jacob went back to the office, while Mary again headed out to look for a school for their children. Once again, she saw the same woman watering her plants. Several days passed, and Mary finally decided it was time to introduce herself to the neighbor. She baked a cake as a friendly gesture and headed over the neighbor's house. She knocked on the door, and a woman around 50 to 55 years old answered with a warm smile. She welcomed Mary inside, clearly pleased to have a visitor. The woman's house was well organized and clean, and the woman was also very up to date, and the 2 women began driving as the dog. Mary mentioned that she was a little afraid of dogs, particularly because of the one she saw playing with the man outside. The neighbor smiled and assured Maddie that she would keep her safe. At one point during their conversation, the woman accused herself to the kitchen to make coffee for them while she was away. Many eyes ventured to the photos in the world. To her surprise, she saw the pictures of the same man and the same dog she had seen playing outside. My neighbor returned. Mary pointed to the photos and asked, "Is this your dog, and is that your husband?" The woman's expressions changed slightly, and she nodded yes. She said quietly, "They were my dog and my husband, but they both went out for a hunting trip one day and never came back." Mary was shocked. "What do you mean?" she asked. "If I had seen your husband and dog playing outside every evening, how is it possible?" The woman's voice was calm but somber, and as she explained, "Those are not them. What you have been seeing are the ghosts of my husband and dog. Everyone in this area has seen them." Many felt of evil fear washed over her. She quickly made an excuse to leave, thanking the woman for coffee and hurried back home. Once there, she told Jacob the entire story, her voice shaking, and she recounted the woman's words. Jacob, not knowing what to do, replied, "But I saw them playing outside a little while ago." Determined to prove that she had heard, Mary opened the window and peered outside. She saw the man and the dog standing by the wall of their home, staring directly at their window. She slammed the window shut, her heart racing, and turned to Jacob, who was equally shaken that night. As they lay in bed, Mary couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She looked out the window again and saw the man and his dog in the same spot. Their eyes fixed on their window, staring, they continued, night after night, no matter how often they looked. The man and the dog were always there, watching silently. The couple became increasingly terrified. One day, unable to take it any longer, they decided to call the police to investigate. The officers reviewed the CCTV footage from the area, but to everyone's surprise, there was no sign of man or dog anywhere. In the recording, it was as if they didn't exist. The police questioned the neighbor, who handed over all newspaper cutouts, investigation reports about her husband and dog. Mysterious disappearance years ago. She explained that every tenant who had lived in their house before had complained about seeing the same scene, the man and his dog staring at their window. But every time no evidence had been found. Mary and Jacob were terrified and knew they couldn't stay any longer. That same day, they bagged up their belongings and left the house, unable to bear the hunting presence any longer.